Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business and share them with us as well so we can learn from them. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. But on our show today, our special guest, it's also named Jason Allan Scott. He's the owner of ATALOR, helping B2B companies and investors launch media that generates leads, deal flow, and authority. So, Jason, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to start off with, which is this. If you were able to somehow go back in time, or if you were starting over again today, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months of your business?
Excellent question. And as someone who has started from scratch 3 times with 3 different divorces, I can tell you that I know the answer backwards and forwards. I'd start with the problem. What is the problem that is faced by a small group of people who care passionately about solving that problem, who have the money to spend to solve that problem? I would do a deep dive. I would speak to journalists who deal with that problem because they'll see it in a very different way. I would speak to investors that deal with that problem because they see it in a very different way. I'd speak to entrepreneurs that are currently trying to solve that problem and find out what they're doing to try and solve the problem. I would find out how much the average spend is, how long people spend for. Can I make it something that is consistent? So I only need to sell once and the person just keeps buying it. I can follow the next customer, the next customer, the next customer. Then I would find out if I could do it in 3 very quick ways, which is, can I do it faster? Can I do it cheaper? Or can I do it more convenient to the person at which I'm serving? If I can do that correctly, at least 2 out of 3, that person that I'm selling to will eventually go and sell my services to someone else, which is what I've done in 30 years of business. I've never paid for a single ad or marketing spend. And it's because I turn every single customer into a salesperson that runs out and says, oh my God, I did this thing with Jason, and this is the result I got. And I'd make that result incredible. In other words, I'd build enough profit in it to care about every single result. And I would do absolutely everything to get that result so that every single customer becomes a case study or a testimonial.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing. Um, is there anything in particular that you have you've done specifically to help you improve that along the way?
Yeah, I read and I ask questions constantly. I read a book a week, sometimes 2 books. It depends obviously how big the book is, like USM, The Ultimate Sales Machine, that took a week. Whereas something short like Never Eat Alone took 2 days. And I constantly follow people. I spend an hour a day looking at people I consider the heroes of different industries. So whether that is a Jesse Itzler and it's about life, or whether that's a Sam Parr and it's about building community, or whether that's about a Sean Purry who's about looking for niches and opportunities within niches. I look at exactly what they're talking about right now. Then I go to Reddit forums and I see if that's a real thing. Are people really talking about it? Because I think a lot of times we forget that these internet business personalities are still selling. They're selling stories. You know, how easy it is to make $1 million, how easy it is to do this, how easy it is to start this business. Then we all go running off thinking, well, that's the one. They spoke about it for an hour. But then the very next day they have another podcast and another thing they've got to sort of shell out into the world, how easy it is to start laundry machine businesses. So I immediately go and find people who've done it, people who are talking about it. What are they saying? I ask questions, and then I look at the answers, and then I look for commonalities in the answer, right? I'm looking for 10 people, 20 people that all say laundromat businesses are terrible. They don't run by themselves. They have lots of vandalization. They cost a lot of money in CapEx. And CapEx is a big word in saying how much it costs to buy the machines that do the job.
Yeah. So not just taking the top level marketing excitement lingo, but actually diving into, okay, what's the actual day to day? Once you get into it, the excitement's gone, running of the business. That's what you're looking for to really understand that.
Absolutely. I think people forget MIT did an incredible research. Those who don't know, MIT is this like Hogwarts for geniuses. And they did this thing where they looked at the average business and the average founder, and founder's fancy name for a business owner. And they sort of said, what do we see here over and over and over again? Is there a pattern? And there is a pattern. The pattern is, ignorant optimism. We hear about a great idea. A friend of ours is doing 10K a month, 20K a month, 100K a month. And we're like, I'm going to get into crypto trading. My buddy makes all this money in crypto trading. So then you start, and then you go, and then you get what's called realistic pessimism, which is you suddenly realize all the problems in day trading in crypto and how volatile it is and how hostile it is. And you have all the knowledge now to actually say, well, actually, I'm quite pessimistic about this opportunity. And then you drop out versus staying through and finding more people who've solved this problem. And how did they solve this problem? And what can you do that niches you? Niche is just meaning a fancy way to say a specific thing that only you can do, preferably, because that creates a moat. Also, something I learned from Charlie Munger and reading all of his books was, what's the incentive? Always look at the incentive. What's the incentive for someone selling you a crypto course or telling you that crypto is great because they sell you a crypto course? Someone tells you that, invest in boring businesses. Why? Because they have a course on selling and, buying boring businesses. So therefore their incentive is skewed. So therefore I can't take everything that they say as gospel because it's not, because they have an incentive to get you to do the thing. Whereas, if you find someone like Levi Strauss talking about gold in them hills, you could be like, well, actually there is gold in them hills. And then go, hold on a second. Doesn't he sell jeans that helps you collect gold? Okay. I see his incentive. I can pull myself out and get out of the rabbit hole, so to speak, and look at everything in a more of a landscape view. And I said this to everyone, what is the incentive for the person to say the thing they said? Then can you do a sanity check on everything they said? Can you find as many people as possible? A really good book is How to Make a Few Billion by, I think it's Brad Jacobs. And Brad talks about exactly this, that he will do 2, 3, 4, 6 months of research before taking on something, because he wants to get through that, not knowing anything, excitement, then knowing everything, I don't want to do this, to the next level, which is actually, I have enough information, I can speak to it, I have enough people now in my sort of kitchen cabinet, if you will, my Rolodex, my phone, that I can message and say, I'm struggling with this. You clearly solved this problem. And again, I think you always want to be in a camp of 3. You want to mirror someone that's doing exactly the same as you. You want to mentor someone. You want to help someone else get to where you are. And you yourself want a mentor that can help you get where they are.
Yeah, yeah, love it. Absolutely love that, man. So, so powerful. Well, what's been the hardest part of scaling without becoming salesy or spammy?
Oh, never had that question. So congratulations. That's rare because I get asked a lot of questions daily. I never think about spammy ever. I think about what value does this create? Can you take what I'm teaching right now and immediately go and implement it, which is what I try and get everyone to do. Get proof that either I'm saying is true or it doesn't work for you, in which case we can talk about it again. I personally answer every single LinkedIn. That takes 2 hours every single night before bed, which drives my partner crazy. So I never think about spam. I don't think about spam. I don't think about cringe. I don't think about any of those sort of embarrassment. Again, I'm quite privileged in the fact that I have no family, which could sound like a curse, but in my case, it's been a blessing. I'm not worried that someone's going to be like, oh, wow, they did all that and now they're doing this. They built a med tech company and now they're trying to sell podcasting. Like what a loser. Or, for 10 years, he was top 100 in events in the world. And now he's just doing a podcast where he talks to business owners. Like what a great fall from the great. I don't think about any of that. I think, am I providing enough value that person who I'm speaking to goes, wow, that guy gave me so much in such a short period of time with no fluff. And I tested it because the proof is in the tasting. It's not in the pudding. And it worked. And now I'm going to tell other people about how great he is. So I think that's the biggest difference. How much value are you actually giving to the person? And how are you using language, which is the first technology we ever had as humans, to really explain what you're doing in a way that they understand? Don't talk so that you sound smart. Talk so that they can understand you, so they can execute against the thing they say they know. Because that's all education is. It's doing an action based on what you heard or learned or read that changed your actual action you would have done before that.
Yeah, yeah, really powerful. This next question kind of goes along the same lines of what you're saying in a little bit of a different angle from it, though. But what's the one thing that you changed in how you build relationships that made sales feel easier?
Okay, I'm going to do 2 in 1 there because I realized I didn't answer your question about scaling. I don't scale. I have a number every single year, which is to double the year before and to double the year before to see how long I can keep the compounding machine going. So I'm only ever thinking of that. And my metric of success is always freedom first, profit second. So I know that in the end, only 3 things are going to matter. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter to at least one person? So every single thing I do, I put it against those metrics. So sometimes I'll get a massive opportunity to scale, for example, like an agency I built. And I'll be like, well, that means I have to work more than 3 hours, 4 hours a day. It means I can't go and live in Japan for a month or 3 months. I can't go do this trip that I was planning. Well, when I'm dying, what are they going to say on my death? I'm probably not going to say, I wish I'd scaled. I wish I'd got a bigger company. I wish I'd cared more about this solution that I was providing the world. probably going to say, oh my God, I had a great time living in Japan, which I just did in December, which was incredible. Sorry, to remind me of your question, because I remember I was answering the last one.
Yeah, no, it's great. So what's the one thing that you changed in how you build relationships
Oh,
that made sales feel easier?
not caring about what I want out of the phone call, but what the person on the phone call actually wants, and getting to the root of that, like the real root of it. Because sometimes it is just people saying things they've heard on TV or on a podcast or in a book, like, I want to scale. And I'll be like, okay, let's stop. Before we talk about scaling, what's your profit margin? No, I make $1 million a year, I make 20 million a year. How much of that are you taking out? How much of that are you putting towards your life? How much putting towards your family? How much you putting towards savings? How much putting towards investments? And I try and really break it down, because a lot of the time we think the answer is the thing that we think, versus actually looking at the real question, the real problem. And I'm so guilty of this, right? I'll be like, what I really want is a home. And I did. I said I got married a few times, and I got the home and the house and the car and all the stuff. And then you kind of like see someone traveling as a digital nomad on YouTube, and you're like, oh, I wish I could be doing that. And you're like, hold on a second, that doesn't make sense. My metric of success is incorrect to what I actually want. I actually just want enough money to buy freedom. Freedom is the result I want. Money is the route to the result. It's not the result I wanted. I tell everyone, like, I want you to make as much as you can to learn that that isn't the answer. That actually there's a whole bunch of stuff you really want that you're just avoiding by chasing the money. And if we can get you the money as quick as possible, you can then go and deal with the thing that you actually need to deal with. And for a lot of men, it's relationships with their father, with a lot of, and I find that I sort of have a chat and I'm like, hold on a second. What it sounds like is that you're just doing this to impress your dad. Or and really maybe just stop and ask yourself, what do you want? If you find yourself sick tomorrow, I was top 100 in events in the world. I was doing very well. I had a beautiful venue, #1 Leicester Square. Anyone who's been to London, you would have seen it. 7 floors at the time. 7 floors was really, really high. You could see the whole of London at night. We had premieres below us, great movies. I used to throw parties for these films. And then I found out I had an incurable autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis. And my neurologist said, you can't stay in events. The top 5 most stressful jobs in the world. Find something else to do. And it was such a reminder of what was important, because I was just going. I'm top 100. Maybe I can get top 10. Maybe I can get top 1. Maybe I can do this big party. Like I did Avatar. Avatar was the biggest at the time, but maybe I can get something else. I got Iron Man. Well, maybe I could then get, I did get Batman. I'll get Batman #2. Oh, okay, I got that one. I need to get Batman #3. And you're so on that hedonic treadmill. In other words, you're just on this treadmill that just moves and moves and moves. Well, you're not moving at all. That I lost track of relationships, friendships, my marriage, as I said, it went terribly. And it was because, again, I didn't have this very strong metric of success. So now when I'm on sales calls, I find that out first. What do you want to get out of this call? Is it one piece of advice that's going to change your life? Is it a piece of advice to change your business? Is it something that's just going to help you make more money? Is it something that's going to get you more attention? And it's normally down to those 3 things. People either want to be known, or they want to make money, or they want to be liked. And it's my job to find out in that call as quick as possible, what is the actual thing that if we can nail it right now and you can go do something that actually gets you that result, you're going to think that this call was worth its time.
Yeah, I love that. It's really powerful, Jason. Like, if you were to, I want to kind of flip questions all around a little bit around this, because I'm really curious, because you've built several successful companies, you've been through a lot of challenges with stuff, and one of the things that I like to ask, just very briefly, because we're coming up on time here, is what's the #1 biggest challenge that you faced in your business? And what's the lesson that you learned from that?
The challenge is always the same. I've started 11 companies. I've exited 9. I've been involved in 9 exits, and 1 fiasco, 1 absolutely terrible business. But every single business actually has the exact same challenge. And I think it's the same challenge that anyone listening or watching this right now is going to have. Am I doing the right thing? Will it work? Like, that's all it is. I started a medtech company. I was like, do I know anything about medtech? How do I know it's going to work? How do I know that if I put in all these hours every single day and I do all the things that people say I need to do, it's actually going to work? I think that's where films have failed us. That's where books have failed us. Every hero knows that they're going to win, right? We watch the Rocky montage of him training because he's guaranteed the fight. But imagine if every day he was doing those trainings, not knowing if he was ever going to get the fight with the heavyweight of the world that would change the trajectory of his life. We as entrepreneurs and business owners, we are doing a job that we don't know will actually pay off. We are giving it our life, our very thing that allows us to exist. We are taking time away from the people that we love and care for. We're taking attention away from other things we might care for something that is not guaranteed to anyone. And a lot of the time, the reason I read so much autobiographies is to realize how many times luck stepped in. pure luck. If that person wasn't at that college and didn't meet that person, in their room, they would never work for Microsoft and become a billionaire.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
probably would never have happened. So I always allow for a little bit of luck. I think if I keep doing this thing and I do it for long enough, or if I have this metric that I can actually control, like how many inputs can I control? Because I can't control the output. But if I absolutely control the input, if I do a certain amount of podcasts, I know that if I beat 10 podcasts, I'm beat better than 50% of all podcasts globally. Well, I can do 10. I can control that metric. And if I promote that, I can control that metric. And if I can get at least 3 shareable moments in that podcast, I can control that metric. And if I can clip those 3, like, singles to push an album, well, that'll drive. So I look at all the inputs and I sort of ignore the output. I just have a hope. I have a dream. I have a wish, like every business owner, that this is the output I want. I want a location-free business that helps as many people as possible, that solves for this one thing, which in my case is normally profit. Someone can sell their business. Most people, bizarrely, don't want to build businesses for life. They don't want to be Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger at 99, still working and die. They're doing it to sell the business eventually, to give them the money to go do the thing they actually want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just be honest with yourself that that's the thing you want. And then you'll stop being distracted by every other story and every other person that puts something in front of you, like fancy words like scaling or ROAS, or, how much this are you doing? How much? Well, you could do 100 pieces of content a day, but if your token of success is freedom, then you're not getting it. And then there's this whole thing about the marshmallow test, and people sort of throw these stories at you, and you got to go, hold on. That's someone else's story. That's not my story. I wouldn't know. And again, the marshmallow test only works, I tell this to everyone, because they knew they were guaranteed a marshmallow. When the birds came back, that's a lot easier. Then don't eat the marshmallow. And by the way, you may never get to eat the marshmallow.
You may, exactly. Man, there's so much great stuff. And I love you said you read autobiographies. I've done that since I was late teenage, well, probably mid-teenage years, for the exact same reason. Is trying to look at what those things, because when you read the autobiographies, you see behind the scenes of the big success and you go, man, they went through some stuff, and oftentimes it was those chance encounters. And I was just thinking, I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, someone had put me in contact with someone else, and just very in the conversation, they mentioned something that I was like, they were like, are you doing this already? Because there was some stuff I do in my business. I didn't even know that I have the capacity to take some of the information in my business and add an extra 300,000 to it very easily. And I was like, whoa, and just these chance little encounters. And I think people miss that. It's just the daily consistency of kind of doing the boring things, in what you're doing in business. Jason, love what you're saying, man. Well, listen, for people that are wanting to get in touch with you, find out more about you, what's the best place for them to go to find that?
It's probably LinkedIn. That's probably where I spend the most of my time. It's Jason Allan Scott. Obviously, my name will be in the show notes, spelled correctly, Allan. Correctly for me, by the way, because I know you spell it differently. And please feel free to drop me on LinkedIn. I'm also on intro.co. I'm one of their top experts when building businesses that sell. And intro.co is just like you get 15 minutes or an hour with someone that you believe has the answer to the questions that you have. And there's some incredible people there, like the founder of Reddit, the founder of Twitch. Like, I've got some great company on that site. And yeah, I hope this has helped you. Like, the whole reason I sort of make the time to do at least one of these a day is in the hope that it helps at least one person, which is kind of my goal in life, is that one person's life has changed simply by knowing me. And I hope that you have the bravery to live, because I think that's another thing we all sort of get wrong. We don't live once, we die once. We get a chance to live every single day.
Yeah, I love it. It's really interesting. Before I wrap up, there's so many things. It's just where my name is Jason, your name is Jason, my middle name is Allan. I spell it differently, but your middle name is Allan. And what you've just said there about your whole goal is just help one person. That's been my goal since I was 14 years old. And I love that mission, man. I love that. It's just, if I can just help one person from one stage, from one podcast, from one thing, it compounds over time. And I love that. So guys, please, everyone listening, feel free to check out Jason. And I know he can just this podcast, you guys can tell how much he can help you out. So thank you so much for being on the show, man. Really appreciate it. And as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn on LinkedIn. The link to that will be in the show notes. And until next episode, stay inspired.